Greetings, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Welcome back to my Astroneer series. Today we continue our ongoing adventures in this beautiful world. So, strap yourself in, make sure you've got all of your spacesuit seals checked and working, and let's see what kind of adventures we can get into today. Now, bit of a thank you there for the commenter that pointed out that this bit of debris on the end is not just there to waste space. There is actually some very useful stuff on it. So thank you very much for that. I, again, had completely forgotten. Honestly, if I had $1 for every individual thing that I'd completely forgotten in this game, I probably could have retired quite a wealthy man quite a long time ago. But that said, we have ourselves a spare oxygenator now, and we got ourselves a couple of bits of aluminium. So I'm sure they will come in handy very soon. I'm just having a bit of a lap around my campsite here. It's been close to 3 weeks since I last loaded up Astroneer. I'd kind of thought that I'd recorded enough content to release as episodes to essentially fill it in prior to the Glitchwalkers DLC becoming available in just under 2 weeks from the date that I'm doing this voiceover. As it turns out, I got my wires crossed. I'd recorded that much content for Raft. I hadn't actually done enough episodes for Astroneer, so I was very happy to log in today and have a bit of a potter around, address a few, I guess you could say, things that I hadn't really attended to adequately in previous episodes, and so here we are. We're just having another look at our tech tree. The tractor, I thought I'd unlocked that already, but I hadn't. We can get ourselves a bit of a free tech upgrade here just by printing a tractor. The mission completes once you've done that, and that then gives you the trailer as a reward. So this can be, doing these sort of missions is absolutely fantastic for saving you spending the bytes on a recipe that you might not normally be buying anyway. Or, in my case, it is going to give me a fairly useful little buggy, which we will put to very good use a little bit later this episode. So stay tuned for that one. In the meantime, we're just printing out a few other little odds and sods that we needed. And we're also going to work on the retooling mission, which is to unlock and print the boost mod and the drill mod for our drill. These are unlocked once again from our little tech tree here, from the backpack printer tab, which is the first of the 4. And you just scroll through the bottom of your backpack here until you find the one that you're looking for. There's our boost mod. We find it needs a bit of zinc. I'm sure we've got quite a lot of that lying around, but we're going to smelt a bit more just in case. It'll be a bit of a rinse-repeat exercise for the drill mod, but minor spoiler, yeah, I didn't bring enough clay black back last time, so we're going to have to make a little trip here shortly to get some more clay. Yeah, I'm looking through the backpack printer here because I swear I unlocked the drill mod already, but as it turns out I hadn't, so we're going to go through and unlock that one now. I think it's only 500 bytes. We've got enough there to be able to do it. And sure enough, there it is. As you can see, only takes 1 ceramic. There are 3 levels of the drill mod, each progressively better than the previous. I generally advocate sticking with just the first one for as long as you can. It will get a bit tedious with some of the later terrains that you have to drill through, but stick with it as long as you can, because the jump to just go straight to the third drill mod is really worth it if you've got the patience. If you don't, just use each one in turn, but I think the second one is not completely worth utilising. You're better off just going straight from the first to the third. But look, results will vary. You do what works for you. Now, we're going to selectively ignore the fact that I accidentally unpacked the buggy when I meant to unpack the tractor, but yeah, it happens. The other bit of random ignoring is occasionally I keep mashing the drop a tether button when I mean to mash the F to unpack button. So, yeah, we'll just put both of those out of our mind for the moment. When you're getting any of the buggies that you can hook up trailers to, that is the essentially the process. Because you can't move them around without a form of control. So the tractor comes with its own seat, but the trailers for the tractor are essentially unpowered. And even I don't even think with a buggy seat on them are you able to move them at all. So you need to make sure you get your trailer when you're unpacking it. Make sure you've plopped it down as close as you can get to your tractor. Otherwise, you might have some really awkward parking maneuvers to try and get it in a position that you can then hook up that cable. The cable functions as like a tow rope, so you don't need anything else other than plugging it in. So it's pretty easy to work with once you've got it plugged in, but it can get a little awkward if it's a little bit too far away or, you know, at a weird angle. So just a minor FYI on that one. With the trailers for the tractor, they're quite small and you can kind of move them around reasonably easily. If you want to practice your techniques of hooking up trailers, I definitely recommend doing it with the tractor first, because the later buggies are absolutely gigantic by comparison, and you're going to want to be reasonably practiced before you start messing around with those. Not sure what the deal is with all the low-flying aircraft this morning, but anyway. The couple of trailers that I printed off, you can daisy chain trailers together, and I definitely encourage you to do so. I can't remember if the hard limit is a total of 4, as in the towing vehicle plus 3 following, or whether it's the towing vehicle plus 4 following. If it is longer than this, I long ago elected to actually never make a little road train type arrangement longer than just the 3 trailers, because even with just the 3 trailers, it can get a little bit unwieldy. Even worse when you're going into the bigger buggies. This one's pretty forgiving because the trailers are still quite small. So turning on a dime, yeah, you're not going to be able to do that, but you can still make some fairly tight turns. But as you get to the bigger and bigger and bigger buggies, that gets harder and harder and harder, and the more trailers you have, the worse it gets. So, yeah, another little public service announcement there. Now, we've elected to take our RTG with us so that we've got a steady supply of power for the tractor. I could equally run this off a generator, or what I've done in the past is to have a solar and a wind, and that will keep you going probably 80 or 90% of the time, or have a wind and another battery. But the tractor itself has its own battery, so I wouldn't put much emphasis on having a separate battery to that. It might come in handy, particularly if you're going underground, but the power requirements for this little sucker are not huge, and given I've got this small RTG already, that's just by far the easiest way of dealing with its power needs. Now, whilever you remain within range of a vehicle, it will provide you with oxygen and power in the same way that being on a tether line does. The key difference here is you cannot tether off a vehicle unless that vehicle has an oxygenator. So it's the oxygenator that enables tether use. If you are connected to something that does not have an oxygenator, either inherently built into it or as the separate module, you are not going to be able to drop tethers. Well, you can drop them, but they'll be black and they won't provide any oxygen or power. But when you're out and about on the vehicle, most of the time you're going to be driving the vehicle as close as you can get to whatever it is that you're trying to do. So here I'm just trying to mine a whole bunch of clay out of the ground. I can get my vehicle reasonably close without putting it at risk. And that then enables me to take a few short steps and boom, here I am replenishing my oxygen and power. Now, for the attentive viewers, would have noticed that I actually completely ran out of power there, so much so that even my work light was turned off. Now, the work light itself doesn't really use very much power, but when your battery goes down to 0, there's nothing there to keep it running, so it will turn off. Now, you might be thinking, oh, we haven't seen that happen before. Well, that's because before I didn't have a boost mod attached to my drill. Now I have a boost mod. It essentially makes it faster for me to dig into harder terrains. The downside of this is that it is, yeah, it's a bit of a power hog. And I could easily offset that by just transferring the RTG to my backpack. But that's kind of annoying doing that all the time, and I wanted to leave it on the tractor where I could, you know, monitor it, and if I were to, I don't know, do something stupid like fall into a hole and die, not like that's happened before. Oh wait, it has. Never mind. It puts the valuable item on the tractor, so if I end up falling somewhere inaccessible or very difficult to get to, I can just elect to not bother going after my backpack, knowing full well that there's not really anything on my backpack that I can't easily replace. So yeah, another little pro tip. Alright, now we've got our drill mod, and that completes that mission. We can tick that one off, and look at that. We get some more free science unlocks in the form of the soil centrifuge, as well as actually providing us with a soil centrifuge. Now, I will expand on what the soil centrifuge is for in a future episode. Just for now, it's going to sit in the corner and gather some dust. Now we are going to work on some other little things that we can do to try and make our life a bit more, well, a little bit easier maybe. And this is just before we head off and try and do some more explorations. Just a little side note here. You don't always have to have the materials on you for the printers. Given that printer is not on a separate platform, it's not going to be able to draw materials from, around it, so it won't pick up stuff off the ground. It will only pick up stuff on the same platform. So normally it will just draw materials from my backpack. But alternatively, if your backpack's full, you can just pick it up and just clip it into the printer manually, and then it will sort of animate and show it's ready to print once you've attached all the bits and pieces. So we unlocked and printed our solid ammonia thruster to the shuttle. So the shuttle is actually ready to go if we ever wanted to go for a bit of a journey. We may save that for a future episode. For now, we just know that the shuttle's, ready to go. There will be some items that we'll want to bring with us before we head off. But again, I'll do a little short list of that, possibly in the next episode. We'll see how we go. From what I understand with the glitch walkers, it's probably going to be either mandatory or very advantageous to be starting a new save game. So when I get round to that point, I'll just ask, do you guys want me to just off camera get up to roughly this point before I start recording and popping up new episodes? Or do you want me to literally start from scratch, but I'll just kind of fast forward things a little bit more? That way you can get the lay of the land, and maybe I can insert some extra stuff that I haven't already covered in this episode. So leave me a comment down below what you would prefer to see. I can see my Astroneer series is actually garnering quite a bit of attention, so yep, don't be shy. If you've commented before, if you've never commented before, I want to hear from anyone. So pop a note down below. Do you want me to just off camera get back to this point, or do you want me to, start from scratch, but I'll just kind of fast forward things a bit as we go? Let me know down below. Now, something I was reminded of in through a comment on a previous episode, I had advised people to just hand scan the samples that you get out of these containers. But as it turns out, and as once again I had completely forgotten, apparently if you take those back to the research chamber, they do actually yield more science if you research them that way. So you won't see me scanning those by hand unless I'm kind of somewhere out in the wilderness and I've got no room to carry it back. Now, another thing that I learned from comments, or at least got reminded, because I swear this was not in the game originally, is the compass. So you can hold down your interact key, I think F for me, if you're not highlighting anything, or it might be R. That's all right. Check your keybinds. And you can bring up this compass in addition to your mission log and your science. Now, the little purple dot you can see in the distance, if you also look over on the horizon, you can see there's a vertical pillar of light, and we already know what that represents. That is another gateway. And we can see that the gateway behind us, over towards the north on the compass, it has a different icon on it because that's the one that we've unlocked. The ones that you haven't unlocked just show up as a little dot, like a purple dot with a white dot in the middle. That's how you know you're, I'll say not close, but you're heading towards a gateway you haven't yet unlocked. So you'll find this, particularly if you're not very experienced with Astroneer, and I know I've fallen into this trap many times before, where you lose track, in a physical sense of which gateways you have and have not unlocked. And when you're burning around on a buggy trying to find that last one that you missed, it becomes easier to rule out the ones that you already have instead of just chasing down every single gateway and maybe taking 3 times longer to get to the one that you haven't done yet. So, lots of useful reminders coming through from the comments, so keep those coming. And if you have any questions or there's anything else you would like me to be including in the episodes, don't forget to leave a comment down below. I'm always happy to get a bit of feedback. Now, we resume our journey here. We are sort of trying to head more or less straight towards that gateway. But this being a game for magpies, we are definitely taking advantage of any little bits of science and any other little knickknacks we find along the way. So, here we are scanning these little bits off the plants. These actually aren't too bad because there are 20-ish science for each one, but sometimes these plants have like 3 or 4 of these like seed things on them, and so you can gather almost useful amounts of science in mere moments. So yeah, don't neglect any of these samples. I say they're like Pokemon, scan them all. Yeah, this is the downside of the little tractor. It's very maneuverable, but it also likes to get stuck on, plants and other debris on the ground. So you kind of need to be a bit mindful of that as you make your way around and try and give, things that you'll get stuck on, give them a wide berth so you don't have to, waste half your play session trying to work out how to get your buggy off a rhododendron or whatever. Ah, yes, I found myself a suitable victim that we are going to demonstrate how the packager works. It's often good to have, a couple of these spare in your backpack. I only had enough graphite to make the one, but we only have one victim here, so this will work as well as anything. So we grab our packager and you make those off your printer on the bottom of your backpack. Takes 1 graphite. You stick it to the big object. You'll see it'll snap onto it and the little light will turn green. And then you just hold your interact button on it and it will, do its little WinZip, RAR, whatever your compression algorithm that you like the most. It does that on the object and it normally shrinks it down 1 size. So the very large items will come down to being just large, large to medium, etc., etc. So the tractor only carries medium items, and so the big box was never going to clip onto this tractor. So shrinking it down means it fits, and we don't have to leave it behind. Now, I'll cover how to open those things in a later episode. At the moment, the holdup is I need explosives. And for the moment, I can't make them, but you can find them out in the world. So basically, I'm just waiting to find some explosives, and then I'll show you how to get into those boxes. Now, these really big bits of debris are often very useful to getting some materials or some science or a combination of the two. Essentially, you can dig inside them if they are slightly underground like this one, or just as often you'll find one end of it might be poking up out of the ground. You can just have a little dig around inside, and you'll see here I've got a little rocket thrustery type thing. We've got a couple of bits of ceramic. Just as often I've found materials in here like explosives, or maybe even materials that I'm not readily able to get anywhere else. So always check out those things whenever you see one. Alright, we made it to our gateway. This one is obviously in need of a bit of a recharge. The RTG by itself is clearly not enough power, so we're going to go out here and just harvest ourselves a bit of compound so we can make a couple of the small generators. We'll then grab ourselves a bit of organic to run them, and the rest is, as you say, history. We've already demonstrated this method on the two previous gateways that I've unlocked, so this one should be pretty straightforward. I will need to make a mental note that there isn't a tether line going to this one. So if I'm going to teleport here, I better make sure I bring enough oxygen with me, or not bank on spending more than, 5 minutes here before I teleport back. Yeah, I just confirmed what I suspected, that one generator plus the RGG wasn't going to be enough to unlock this one. So we're back here to get a bit more compound to make another generator. I'm feeling pretty confident that this should get the job done. Alrighty, that makes gateway number 3 that we've now unlocked on our starting planet. This also heralds the end of this episode. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and to consider subscribing if you have not already done so. Until next time, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Thank you very much for watching, and have yourself an absolutely fantastic day.